Right, morning fellas, welcome back to another Villa on Tour video today. I'm back with Simon. Simon, say hello.
Good afternoon, how are we?
All good, mate. Today we're going through our best Aston Villa 11s of all time. We've both got a team. We've done a little bit of research into this. We need to do a disclaimer firstly, don't we? Yeah. Basically, these are players that both of us have seen, or either of us have seen, because in the last video we did about strikers, there was people in the comments, which is fair enough, saying Peter With and players like in the 80s and 70s and like before us, and it's not exactly fair that we can put them in our best 11s or our best strikers or anything like that because we haven't personally seen them. So the players in this video are players that we have seen, we can actually talk about, rather than players that we haven't. If you were lucky enough to see those sorts of players, if you're from the older generation or whatever, that's absolutely fine. You can leave your comments as well, so leave your best 11s. But without further ado, let's crack on. So we are both going with a 4-4-2 formation. I'll do my goalkeeper, Simon will do his goalkeeper, and then we'll do our defence, midfield and attack. There's only one place to start, the goalkeepers. For me, I've gone with the American man, Brad Friedel. Got him in 2008, left us in 2011. It was towards the end of his career. He wasn't exactly here long. He played 114 games, which is pretty decent. He's just a solid, reliable player, wasn't he? All good, really. Yeah,
do you know what with Friedel, for me, I know it sounds a bit weird, but I think he was one of O'Neill's best, if not his best signing. I mean, we paid like $2 million for him at the time. We were having problems with keepers for years, and he was just a steady pair of hands we needed. He was class, Friedel.
It was like, it's sort of like Tom Heaton now. It's just like, you know what you're getting, reliable. It's towards the end of his career, you know what you're going to get. But yeah, decent player. Simon, who have you got in goal?
So I went for David James. So he joined Villa from Liverpool in around about, I think it was about 99. It was after Mark Bosnich left, so Bosnich left.
It was 99, yeah.
Yeah, so Bosnich left on a free to join Man U, and we had a bit of a problem to replace him, and we signed James. I think it was like 1.7 million from Liverpool, and he went on to be brilliant. He wasn't actually with Villa for that long, but he went on to be brilliant. I remember he saved all those penalties in the FA Cup semi-final against Bolton to take us to the final. Unfortunately, he did make a mistake in the final, and we lost that final to Chelsea. But he was brilliant. I mean, one thing that's I always remember stands out for me with David James. If we were playing Everton away, it was the game when Paul Mercer scored the winner in the very last minute, and David James that day made possibly the best save I've ever seen. Well, definitely a Villa goalkeeper make anyway. Get it up on YouTube, it's definitely on there. And he got called up to the England squad after that. And you look at his career after he left Villa, and he carried on playing for England and other Premier League clubs, and he was just a top goalkeeper, so he gets the spot in my team. Yeah,
only a couple of years he was here for, left in 2001. 67 appearances, again, steady pair of hands, decent. Right then, on to the defences. This could get a little bit controversial now. We were talking about this before we started recording. Fullbacks, we haven't really been blessed with a lot of quality in the fullback positions, and that shows in my picks. Right back, Alan Hutton, okay, right? He was here between 2011 and 2019, we all know that. He only ever scored 3 goals, but there wasn't anyone else I could pick. I know he was really, really dodgy and he got lots of loan spells out, but just because he was a bit of a cult hero, I've gone with Alan Hutton. In the middle, I've gone with Martin Larsson, Olof Mellberg. They speak for themselves, really. Quality players. I know Larsson didn't play a lot of games, did he, for Villa? Mellberg, on the other hand, 232 games. Absolute legend. I'll put on screen as well when he got substituted against Blues in the 5-1. Just an absolute legend. He loved the Villa. Top man. Left back, Wilfried Boomer. Again, he was here for quite a while, 5 years, only made 83 appearances though. Just a steady left back really. Like I said, full backs weren't really blessed, but those centre half pairings of Larsson and Olof Mellberg, you can't really complain, can you?
No, I think it's the one area of the Villa team where we were blessed, centre half really. Over the years, we've had some pretty good centre halves, haven't we?
Right, so that's my defence. A little bit controversial with the full-backs, but overall solid. In the middle, Simon, who's in your back four, mate?
So I've gone from right to left with Mark Delaney at right back. Bought from Cardiff as a youngster, made quite a lot of appearances for Villa over a long spell. As Max says, we haven't really been blessed with that many full-backs over the years, so Delaney gets my space at right back. He was a top-notch right back when I was watching him. I've then gone for Gareth Southgate next to him. Southgate, club captain of Villa. Enough said, really. He was excellent for Villa before leaving for Middlesbrough. England international, cracking centre half. alongside him, Martin Larsson, just such a great signing. Didn't play that often because of bad injuries, but that season and a half when he did play, he was probably the best centre-half I've seen in a Villa shirt. And then completing my back four at left-back, Alan Wright, full-back signed from Blackburn, early in the 90s, was with Villa for a long time, bit of a bargain buy. It was nothing special, he was just Mr. Dependable, really, just played it simple and just a really solid left-back, and he played in some quite successful teams at Villa. So yeah, Alan Wright gets my number 3.
I was going to say, Alan Wright played a lot of games, 260, he was here for 8 years as well, so not too bad at all.
He was quite regular under most of the managers, and then I think he ended up leaving under Graham Taylor in his second spell, but yeah, a good defender.
There's a few other centre-half picks that we could have had. Obviously, you've got to think about Paul McGrath, but unfortunately, although he's called God, like, neither of us saw him, so it'd be a little bit unfair for us to put him in the teams. Ehiog as well. There's a lot of good centre-halves. That's why we have been blessed over the years. Full-backs, not so much.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're right. The centre, like you say, I'd love to have seen Paul McGrath play, but unfortunately, just didn't. The only other full-back which you could have put in there was Steve Staunton, but once again, I didn't actually see him play, so felt it was best to leave him out of this one.
Right, into the heart of the team, the midfield 2. I've gone with the man, the myth, the legend, the Bulgarian prince, Stilian Petrov, here for a long time, 7 years, joined in 2006 from Celtic, 185 games, only scored 9 goals, but he did play more defensively towards the end, so that's fair enough. Although he has scored quite a few legendary goals, you think Derby halfway line. He was just an absolute quality player. It was just an absolute shame what happened to him towards the end of his time at Villa, but absolute legend. Next to him, another legend, Ian Taylor. Didn't get to see him personally, but I've met him a couple of times. He's just a genuinely just lovely guy. He played a lot of games as well for Villa, 233, joined in 94, left in 03, so nearly 10 years. Just a couple of legends in the midfield there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with Petrov, he was an attacking midfielder for Celtic, and then he came down to England with Villa, and he started off as an attacking midfielder. And I remember that debut game against West Ham, he looked brilliant. But then as time went on, he struggled a little bit, and then O'Neill transferred him to a defensive midfielder, and that's when he started playing his best football for Villa. So, yeah, terrible what happened to him in the end, but he'll go down as a good, a very, very good player in Villa's history. And then, yeah, alongside him, Ian Taylor, absolute club legend. He was more a box-to-box midfielder, Taylor was. You don't really get that much anymore, I don't think. Like these days, you get defensive midfielders and attacking midfielders. You don't really get that many box-to-box players, but Taylor was one of them. Defended quite well, scored plenty of goals as well. And Villa fan, Villa legend.
I was going to say, he scored quite a few goals, 28 goals. Not too bad. Who's in your midfield then?
So I went for, it has to be, the man with the most Premier League appearances out of all time, Gareth Barry. And then alongside him, I had Paul Merson. So on Barry first. Where did you start with Barry? He came through. Well, he joined from Villa. He joined Villa from Brighton, from Brighton's academy, and he was just brilliant. He started off in defence, transferred into midfield, played for England, club captain, stayed for a very, very long time, scored plenty of goals, plenty of assists. He was just the all-round player, wasn't he? And such a good club captain for us as well. Such a shame when he left to go to Man City, but you couldn't blame him at the time, and look what he went on to win, so you can't blame him. But yeah, he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And alongside him, I had Paul Merson, as I said. Merson, see, he was different than any Villa player I think I've ever seen. I'd say he's in the mould of like Grealish now, but slightly different. His ability on the ball was just something totally you just don't see out of most people. It was like his foot was like a magnet to the ball, scored goals, created goals. And at the time when we signed him, he was getting on a little bit. And for us to pay $6 million for him back in '98, it was quite a lot of money, but it was a great signing. The thing was as well, Merson fell in love with the Villa, and he still talks about us like it's his club, like to this day. And for me, it's what I remember from first following the Villa, Paul Merson scoring goals. Yeah,
I think you've got a couple of decent players there. I think mine is pretty defensive with Taylor and Petrov. You've obviously got Merson going forward there. There will be a vote at the end of this video as well. Whose team do you think would win, mine or Simon's? But before we get on to that, winger time. This is where it gets exciting, right? Left midfield for me, Ashley Young. Right midfield, James Milner. Ashley Young, what do you say? I don't think, because of what happened at Man United, and he kind of got outcast and he got shoved into left back towards the end of it. He kind of got his reputation got damaged a little bit, but what he did at Villa was absolutely incredible. Joined in 2007, left in 2011, 157 games, 30 goals, scored against the Blues as well, so he's a bit of a legend. I think at Villa he was a big fish in a small pond, but then at Man United that sort of went wrong. But just a quality player. James Milner, what a legend. Had a loan spell in 2005, 2006 with Villa, and then he joined us permanently a couple of years later. So that did actually take him up to 100 games for Villa. 11 goals, 73 appearances, just another solid, reliable player. Not the player with the most flair like Ashley Young, but just solid and just absolutely class.
Yeah, you know what, the thing with Young is, going back to Ashley Young, I don't think at the time I realised how good he was, but I was watching some videos of him recently, and he was absolutely brilliant for Villa. But I think because we were so good back at that time, you sort of took it for granted a little bit. And what we do to have a winger like him today? I mean, for paying $9 million for him. The thing was, when we sold him as well, we sold him for $18 million, and that was only because he had a year left on his contract. If he had longer, then we'd have got absolute mega bucks for Ashley Young, because he was just brilliant. And it's quite hard to get to someone at his level now. Like, well, you look at our wingers now, we got no one like him. But yeah, great player. And then, as you say, on the other side, Milner. The thing is with Milner, he was actually better in central midfield. I think when O'Neill transferred him into a central midfielder, that's when his Villa career really took off, and that's when he earned his big money move to Man City, really. But just a great professional, scored goals, assists, always there, always like an 8 out of 10 sort of player, Milner. Which is what every single sort of manager wants, don't they? But yeah, two absolutely brilliant players.
Yeah, and even now he's gone on to win Champions Leagues with Liverpool. He's gone on to win countless things with Man City. Fair play to him, absolute hero. He's done absolute bits for every club he's been at, pretty much. Who have you gone with on the wings?
So I was trying to mix it up a little bit, obviously, because you picked Ashley Young as well. So I've had to pick Ashley Young because like I just said, he's just everything I remember from the Villa, and he's probably the best winger I've seen playing for Villa. So I have had Ashley Young there, but I've thrown a little bit of a curveball in there. I could have had another player that I loved at the Villa, but he wasn't here long, Norberto Solano. So he joined from Newcastle. I know it sounds a bit weird, but he joined from Newcastle for only like $1 million. And he was unreal, absolutely unreal under David Lee for that one and a half season sort of thing. The problem was, he didn't really ever want to be at Villa, and as soon as Newcastle came back in for him, 2 years later, he packed his bags and went back off, and that's why we ended up having Milner on loan. But Solano, really underrated, so skillful, scored goals, great cross, brilliant assists. He probably doesn't make it to my team, but a bit of like an honourable mention. So I'd Ashley Young on the one side, and the other side I brought it to the present day, and I've put Jack Grealish there. There is other players you could have picked, but you've got to say, I know it's now, but he's still one of the best talented footballers I've seen playing for Villa. Hopefully he carries on. I mean, like, you look at last season, he came on another level in the Championship, and he has transferred that form to the Premier League this season. I mean, he's been Villa's best player all season, hasn't he? Forgetting the off-field stuff, on-field, he's been absolutely brilliant. Let's just hope we can stay up and keep hold of him. But yeah, he gets the other spot on the wing for me. Absolutely,
he's one of the best players I've seen. Obviously, I've seen a lot of crap, but he's one of the best players I've seen. He's just an absolute joy to watch. And this season as well, in a terrible side in the Premier League, let's be honest, he's scored goals and got assists, which he hasn't done in like the early years of the Championship. That wasn't in his game. Yeah. But he's learned how to score more goals, and he's just absolutely incredible. The way the ball just sticks to his feet and he glides beyond players, it's just beautiful to see. Hopefully we can see it for more than just the end of this season, whenever that'll be. But if he wants to go, you'd probably say fair play, Jack. He's done more than enough for Villa. So if he wants to go to a bigger club, like your Man Uniteds, like your Liverpools, like your Tottenhams, that's fair enough. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Right then, on to the important parts of the teams, the front two. Now, there was minimal options, I think, if you watched our top 15 strikers. I mean, the likes of Jordan Ayew made into the top 15, so we haven't been blessed with, the best strikers over these years. But for me, I've gone with the main man, Christian Benteke, and next to him, Gabriel Agbonlahor. Benteke, we've talked about it. The scoring record was ridiculous, 42 goals in 89 games. He was here for 3 years. He got his mega money move for £32 million to Liverpool. they didn't know how to use him, and it's gone massively downhill for him since he's gone to Palace and hasn't scored in about 5 years or whatever the ridiculous stat is. So he was just an absolute beast at Villa though. You couldn't stop him. Put the ball on his head, he'll score. He was still good with the ball at his feet though. So absolute class player, the best player I've probably ever seen at Villa. Next to him, Gabby Agbonlahor. Again, what do you say? Record Premier League goal scorer for Villa, 341 games, joined in 2005 and left 13 years later. So in his prime, unstoppable. His absolute blistering pace was sensational. And if Gabby and Benteke played together, you know, when they were both in their primes, that would have been scary. Yeah. But yeah, what a strike force that is. But yeah.
I'd agree there. I think both of them, they have to be in there, sort of thing. I think with Gabby, obviously burst onto the scene as a youngster and local lad, Villa's all-time Premier League goal scorer, so he has to be in there. Blistering pace. On his day, he could rip anybody apart, Gabby. So yeah, he has to be in there. Then Benteke, I think we said the other day, he just was the best striker I've seen playing for Villa. Absolutely incredible scoring rate. It's all gone a bit downhill for him since, but what a player for us.
Right then, Simon, who are you playing up top, mate? Who's your top two?
So I've gone for two different ones. I've mixed it up a little bit. I didn't want to go for the same one. So I went for my two up front. I went for Dion Dublin, and then next to him, Juan Pablo Angel. Well, they would have played together actually for certain times. I don't think they played with each other that much, but they would have played together at certain parts of the Villa career. Starting off with Dublin, then joined Villa from Coventry. It was after Dwight York left, really, and Villa were trying to replace Dwight York, and instead of spending all the money on one player, we divided it up and bought Dublin from Coventry and Merson from Middlesbrough. But yeah, Dublin's record was fairly good to be fair. He scored 7 goals in his first 3 games, and he was good for Villa. Once again, like the fans absolutely loved him. He really got on with Villa as a club. And scored a lot of goals for us, and a lot of important goals as well. I think that's the thing with Dublin. You can always rely on him to grab you a goal. When the going got tough, you thought, oh, you've got Dublin in there, whack the ball in, and Dublin can get the end of it. And he's a top bloke, top man, and he was a top player. So that's why he's up front for me. And then alongside him was Angel. Funny one, Angel. He divides opinion a little bit. We spent a lot of money on him back then, spent like nearly 10 million. Broke our transfer record to buy him. Really struggled at the start. Couldn't score. He was really unsettled in England. And then he ended up scoring that first goal against Coventry, which were relegated Coventry, which always makes me smile to this day. Yeah, and then he went on from there. Then he had a season when he scored about 16 goals, I think. He had another season when he scored 23. And yeah, he could. You know what? He could have probably been better. He could have scored more goals, but it was never his pace with Angel. It was always his brain. His movement was quite good. His finishing was quite good. And he had, like I say, he had certain managers who he was better under. He was especially good under John Gregory and David O'Leary. Struggled a bit under Graham Taylor. He chose other options, Graham Taylor rather than Angel. But yeah, a good player. Once again, another cult hero at Villa, and that's why he's in my style.
Yeah, Dublin got 48 goals, Angel 44. So again, combined total of over 100 goals. Same as me there. Both got 100 goals up top there, so decent. There is going to be a poll. Click the I button there. Whose team would win? I'll put them on screen now, my team and Simon's team. Whose would win if they played each other, mine or Simon's? I think personally I'd probably have to say yours just about, but again, there's quality in both. Oh, you're right. We're literally just filming a video. Right then, big names that missed out up top. You've obviously got Dwight York, but neither of us were lucky enough to see him. John Carew, Lee Hendry, even John McGinn could have made into the midfield. Staunton, like we said, McGrath, Guzan for that one season, I don't know. But there's a lot of players that we weren't lucky enough to see that would have made it if we were a little bit older and we were able to see them. But again, I think our teams anyway are pretty solid. Right then, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like. Comment your best ever Villa 11s in the comments below. Subscribe because there's a lot of content on the way. Go and watch all the previous videos. Go and follow Simon on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. Link in the description. Thank you very much for watching. Up the Villa. Simon, give us an up the Villa.
Up the Villa.